To begin speculating on what the future of education might be or what it should be, you kind of have to understand a little bit about what education is now. What is the myth surrounding education currently? There are ideas of kind of hierarchy, there's this idea of pedagogy, and there's this idea of efficiency. So the current classroom for public education is typically set up, if we look at hierarchy, a forward-facing classroom where you have the teacher on a stage lecturing at students. This kind of relationship is not really conducive to collaboration because the relationship that you want is the teacher to kind of guide students. So this idea of hierarchy is something that we're addressing in the current model. Our idea of efficiency right now is that you have this module classroom, which is simply copied and pasted over and over and over.
When exploring the current pedagogy, we realized that each grade is really only preparing you for the next grade, and you see that too in terms of standardized testing. And so what we find is, as kids progress through these grades, K, 1, 2, and then they get up to high school, and then they're in high school, and it's really just prepping them for college. They've always had, this kind of system that's continually prepping them. How can we reimagine this model so that students are allowed to explore themselves and learn more about themselves and through the educational process, so that when they are done with the official educational process, they know how to carry that forward. Rather than thinking of it as like incremental steps, we're looking at sort of 3 primary stages and then like 1 before stage and 1 after stage. So stage 1 is the formative foundation years in terms of learning how to communicate, read, and write. Stage 2 is activity-based collaboration, where students for the first time are interacting with each other and really taught specifically really how to learn through collaboration versus individualized lecture learning. And then stage 3 allows them to do collaborative-based exploration, collaborating with other students, collaborating with teachers, collaborating with professionals to begin to explore themselves and explore all these different fields to kind of figure out what they like and don't like. And then stage 4 takes all that exploration and then allows them to sort of focus and hone in on a few select key ones that they really found intriguing or exciting. And the final stage, stage 5, would be the sort of the mastery of that one thing that they really liked.
The new age of learners are wanting to collaborate a lot more and learn from each other. I think that's a huge part of where education is going.
In this kind of new model, we're looking at problem solving and creativity as a kind of foundation before we can actually begin designing a new space. Kind of stressing the arts and humanities aspect as well. Currently, the model for a classroom is such that there is 1 teacher per every 24, 25, and more. Because of how the educational environment is typically set up, these classrooms become islands in which it's typically 1 teacher with all these students. And if we're truly trying to encourage collaboration among students, we also need to look at collaboration among teachers. So the new model that we've kind of proposed is to create a space which is flexible enough where you can continue this 1 teacher to 24 students, let's say. However, the space is flexible enough that you're allowed to have at least 3 teachers teaching a course or a discipline at any given time. What we have suggested is not necessarily changing the student to teacher ratio, but rather encouraging more of a relationship between a learner and a teacher, as well as collaboration between students and students, students and teachers, and teachers and teachers.
When we're designing this school of the future, we do want to create these collaborative halls and collaborative spaces for our students. We also want the opportunity for teachers to learn how to collaborate and learn how to co-teach.
You have this central collaborative space that includes all 3 types of learning environments, which is the collaboration, the lecture, and the hands-on makerspace type environment. This space has movable partitions where you can block it off for a lecture and then break it out into maybe an open space where you then either perform what you learned or practice what you've done. And these spaces within themselves can be flexible, where a lecture does not necessarily have to be everyone facing forward with the sage on the stage in the front preaching. These lecture spaces can have castered furniture with movable desks. They can break out into 2 circles and do group discussions and then come full circle at the end of the classroom. What's being recognized in education these days is that all students learn differently, and by having the individualized learning environments, it allows each student to figure out what works best for them or what they enjoy, and not dictate what that classroom needs to be.
What is public education? What is it accomplishing right now? And what should it accomplish? These are really the questions that we should all be asking ourselves.